Welcome to the Lady Nighthawk Show, where we talk about hot topics. And today is a very hot topic because first I want to congratulate the President-elect Donald Trump, because that's the right thing to do. I also want to thank the Vice President Harris and Walz's team. I think they did a fantastic job. I think that the Vice President Harris did a fantastic job with her concession speech, and her seat. But I want to say that I think that the speech that she gave down at her alma mater yesterday was on point, and she's telling us not to give up. I think that for the 107 days, what could you expect with no money, okay? She did a fantastic job in the elections that she got, and I was really amazed. I was sad that she didn't get to that 270, but I was still amazed that she got to, I think it was 226, 27, depending on whoever you was watching the news with, or how late you were watching. But she got a number of electoral votes, and for 107 days, and they not really give her any press while she was on the vice president, as the vice president, as they do other male counterparts. You usually see where they're going, what they're doing, you know, and you cannot overshadow the president of the United States. But at least they gave male vice presidents, so that if something were to happen to the president of the United States, at least people know who was going to take over the helm. They did not do that for her. She got kind of thrusted into this presidency at the last minute in 107 days with not enough time to prep, you know. And I got this from listening to one of the news commentators that does political history. And he said that she did not have enough time, because usually what they do is they try to figure out what are the, you know, what is it that people are really needing or wanting or hurting. She didn't have it, because in the primary you have an opportunity to kind of work those things out in the primary, so you know what your message is moving forward. He also said then the next phase is, you know, you get out there and you try to, you know, see what the pulse is of the people. He said she didn't have a chance to do that. And he named a couple of other things, and I kind of agreed with him, because like I said, for almost 4 years now, I've been talking about how they have not given her enough press, not even knowing that she was going to wind up running for president of the United States. I was just really clearly making an observation that I saw early on that was not happening. And so some of the commentators during election night were talking about, oh, well, I talked to a couple of people, not a couple of people, a few people, and they said they really didn't know who she was, and, you know, they know Donald Trump, and people know that usually when he says that he's going to do something, he does it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, okay? So I still say that God showed her favor, because he did allow her to run a fantastic race in a short period of time. She got an abundance of people that were behind her and willing to work, and me being one of them during the time. I made sure here on this show, I never once told you who you should vote for. I never once spoke against either the president-elect or the running candidate, never, because I could not do that, because it's an election year. Now the election is over. And I think that a point has been proven. I think that God Almighty himself, because I've heard people that are religious people that I talk to say, well, I can't believe that God would have a person that did this, I'm not going through that litany, did this, and they allowed him to be the president of the United States. Well, God has purpose in everything that he does, okay? People that I talk to, not trying to sway them to vote one way or the other. I would talk to people when I pay my bills, and the ones that don't forget to vote. Did you vote? You know, you could check your registration in your state and see. I talk to people from all over this country, okay? And then we made it a point on this show to tell people about on all three of our shows about provisional ballots, because nobody was talking about provisional ballots. I even wrote the DNC and the Vice President Harris Walls an email. They're saying that they need to make sure that the people that are on these phones and they're talking to people, to explain to them what a provisional ballot is in case they get to the polls. Because if you go to the polls, just from my past experience and being at every election and listening and paying attention to what's going on, a lot of times if you, depending on who the poll watcher was, they might tell them about a provisional vote, provisional ballot, or they may not. And what happens is that when those people walk out the door, they're gone home, okay? They're not going to this other booth or polling place to vote. So we didn't want to lose anybody, so we kind of keep people abreast of where you can check to see if you were registered to vote. You know, to always do your homework. I don't care what election it is. I don't care if it's an election running for the dog catcher in your county, the sheriff in your county, because like I tell you guys all the time, it wasn't until Attorney Bill told me how important the sheriff was, okay? So you need to look up all these people, it's public record, see what their records are. So when another election comes about, because we're getting ready to have another election, guys, for PG County, because I want to congratulate Angela Alsa Brooks for her new Senate seat, being the first black woman for Prince George's County to have a Senate seat. And so my hat's off to her. And so there's going to be an election to fill her seat. There, last night on the news, it was like 4 people that stood up, and some of them you know already. They've had seats in PG County, and they already said that they're gonna up for running in the election that's going to come about. And then the news commentator said that you only saw 4, but I'm quite sure that there are going to be a number of others that are actually going to try to take her seat. And he also mentioned to me that there, not to me personally, but to the people that were viewing, that there's also a second seat that's become available as well. So you need, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but you need to look and see who those 2 seats are for PG County, okay? And I'm proud of PG County. I want to thank everybody that voted in Prince George's County for this election and all the elections, even the one when I was an election counter. I know that PG County, Prince George's County, Maryland does what they are supposed to do. And I take my hat off to you for being one of those states that will get out and vote. I mean, there were people that for early voting were standing in line for 2 hours. I don't care where you were. They were standing in line for 2 hours or more for early voting. I like for the election day because I want to see, you know, what the results are. I'd like to see that, but it was much different this time because you had to count ballots. You had to wait, and there's still ballots that have to be counted, okay? But the way they did with these election, you know, polling areas, they had where they scanned, you know, they had the normal where you punch in, you know, you can either do by paper or you can punch it in on the computer. But this time they had a scan that was sitting next to you. You scan it in, you know, and then when you finish, they take you to someplace else and you scan it, which was much different. And in my opinion, this wasn't the election that we should have been trying out. This is my opinion. We should have been trying out these scanning booths for this election because on the news, I heard that China has infiltrated the FBI, okay, and other top officials' information in this country, organizations in this country, and they don't know what to do about it. So you need to talk to your congressman or whomever and find out what are they doing about that, because they don't know how to stop it. This is what they said on the news last night. They talked to the man that's in charge of what's going on, and the question came up, well, if you already know that they're spying on us and they're doing it, you know, cyber attacks, what are you going to do? How do you stop that, you know? So you need to pay attention, and you need to get in contact and do some of those TV channels and say, okay, I saw it on your news channel. What are they doing about this? And this was in place before this election. They also said that Russia had infiltrated, another news channel said that they found out that Russia had infiltrated North Carolina and Georgia. Now, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I heard on the news, and these were supposed to be authority people on historical, actions and what's going on now in our government. And so I'm just telling you what I heard, okay? I don't know. Don't quote me as saying it, because I got it. You're getting it from a second source, okay? But that's behind us. You know why? Because the Vice President of the United States said she made a concession speech. So that's it, okay? Now, these other people that are still waiting because they're too close to call, they have to wait. And one of the ladies that's a Democrat that's running, she said last night, and I was really proud when I heard her mention this word, because we have said it on our air before the election about provisional ballots. But she said that the race was too close for them to call, that they still have to count provisional ballots, they still have to count the veterans, they still have to count, people that voted at the election polls, registered and then voted at the election polls. So there's still a lot of counting that they got to do. But I really smiled because she's the only one that I've ever heard that mentioned a provisional ballot, okay? So she's doing her homework, and she's rerunning for her seat. And she's a Democrat, so I hope that she gets her seat, okay? I want to thank the governor, former governor, Hogan. I think that he gave a fantastic concession speech to Angela Alsobrooks. I think that it was with humbleness, grace. I think that it was from the heart, it was sincere, and I thank him for being so gracious of the man that I know that he is, that he sent that speech. And it was like one of the other best concession speeches I had heard, okay? So I take my hat off to you, former Governor Hogan. I also want to say thank you to all the people that have worked at the polls, because I know that that's stressful. I know that, depending on where you live in the country, you don't know whether or not you're going to get bombed, because there were bomb threats in Georgia and in North Carolina. And you just don't know when you do the poll work, what you might come up against. But I think that as a rule across this country, I didn't see any chaos or confusion. It's just been threats that have been made to different places. I have one that I want to read to you that was sent through my religious group in one of the cities that was on television that had a bomb threat that was in the South. Where they got this news from, okay, and they sent it to the prayer groups, because I think it's very important for me to pass that on. Me being Lady Nighthawk, I'm trying to keep you abreast of what's going on in the world. I'm going to read it to you in a minute. But I want to make sure that I wish that the VP, maybe he had to get back on a plane because she didn't do, Vice President didn't do her speech that night before, but I wish that he had been able to stand next to her. But she gave a fantastic speech the next day, and she held her head up high and proud, and she told us that we cannot stop, that we needed to roll up our sleeves, and we needed to continue on the fight and not to give up. And she thanked everybody that helped and donated and stuff, and she did a fantastic concession speech. I thought she did as well. I do want to say that I am a little concerned about some people not voting, because some of the newscasters, and one of the prominent female newscasters during election night mentioned, and I know she was telling the truth because I encountered it myself here in PG County. that when she was out there talking to people and things, that the people were talking about, oh, they don't really know her. Oh, they don't want to get in the middle of this. They don't think that they're going to let this election ride because they don't want to be in the middle of it. And I don't know whether it's from intimidation, and they know that usually when this man says something, he usually means it, okay? So, but I encountered the same thing right here in PG County. That, you know, I just ask people, it drives my son crazy, you know, hey, did you vote? Are you going to vote? You know, don't forget you got to vote. And they would say to me, I'm not getting in the middle. Where did that come from? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Where did those words come from, and where did that idea come from during a national election or any election for your state? How do you get in the middle of something that people have lived and died and fought for you to be able to have the right to vote? How can you say during an election year or any election, say, I'm not getting in the middle of it? It's too many people that have died for you to be able to have the right to vote. It's too many people that have sacrificed and got locked up and dogs and watered down for you to have an opportunity to vote in this country. It's too many people that stood down there on the in front of the Lincoln Memorial, all the way down to the monument, to stand out there and do marches and things so that women could vote, you could have abortion rights, you could be able to, you know, run for an office. Okay, that's democracy. And the biggest thing is that I believe is that this election has shown us what democracy really looks like. And I'm going to say this, because I thought about it, I prayed about it. And I know a lot of people were saying, you know, in the past, how could, I'm not going to be a litany of things. They would say, well, how can our country vote for a person that has this going on, right? Was able to stop, you know, some of the courts and things. And how is that possible for that to happen, that they're able to run for an office and they got things that are outstanding? Well, that's democracy, okay? Whether it's good, bad, or indifference, okay? This is the first time that we've ever seen it in our lifetime, but what can you say? That's why you have to get out and vote. So if you didn't go out and vote, and you felt that way about whatever that was and that person and what you thought that should not have happened, if you did not vote, pat yourself on the back for making democracy not work, okay? Because now you've learned a lesson that the only way that we can keep democracy alive in this country is, one, that we learn about the laws, we learn about what they mean, we learn what the Constitution is, we learn what rule of law is. We don't have to have somebody to sell us a book or sell us a thing. It's free. You can go out there and look. I've been telling you for months, go out and do your research. Go out and look for yourself, because those things are out there for you to find out. Just like anybody can, if they know your name, your address, or whatever, they can find out, you know, these organizations I'm talking about, whether or not you're Democrat, they can't tell who you voted for. Let me clear that out. They cannot tell who you voted for, but they can tell you, because they just put that on the news, and I think that discouraged some people, okay? Because I thought, why would you put this on the news right now, 3 days before an election? Because somebody asked the question, can my husband find out who I voted for or if I voted? And the interviewer says, well, he can tell when you voted, but he can't tell who you voted for. So she said, oh, okay. Well, that might have discouraged some people, because I never even thought about, I know it's public knowledge, but I would never even think about somebody going out there and looking to see how many times did I vote in an election, you know, and what party did I vote for? Did I ever cross the lines and vote, you know, non-Democratic or Republican, and I became an independent? You know, that right there, because people have always thought, and see, that's what happens when you think. That's why I say you have to do research, okay? My fault, because I thought that it was okay that nobody knew except for you and the people in the registrar's office, okay, for voting registration, But now I know that it's public knowledge. But they do not know who I voted for. And people do cross lines. So don't let that discourage you, please, from another election, because they cannot tell who you voted for. They cannot tell, you know, they can tell how many elections you voted for, but they cannot tell who you voted for. That's what I'm gonna leave it there, because I want you to do your research and look and see. Call a voter registration place. They will gladly answer any questions that you have. You can also go online, you know, and check. Ask them a question if you're not sure, because do not let anything or anyone else stop you from voting. And that's the lesson that I think that our Father in heaven is trying to teach us, because so many people have said that too many people, for newscasters, my own personal research after I heard that, when I started talking to people, I talked to people on the telephone, you know, I text, I email, you know, I'm trying to stay abreast so I know I can give you good information, okay? So the thing becomes this: if you're not doing your homework and you're not doing due diligence and getting out there to vote, that we have gotten this far and we don't want to go back now. We've come too far to let democracy die. That's what this whole country is about, okay? It's about people being able to come and become a United States citizens, and you're supposed to come legally. Please, please. I do not want people down there getting killed on that border when you can go, you know, through the proper channels and come into this country. There's too many people that are in this country that are American citizens now that came through the right way. So the only thing that I can ask you to do is to make sure that you do what you have to do to get into the United States and become a legal citizen. And then you can vote. So you can't get mad because people have been saying forever that they were going to stop you from crossing those borders, okay? So talk to your family members. Just like you got here, tell them how to get here legally, okay? Tell them. Help guide them. They don't know. So tell them how to do that. I would hate to see, you know, a slaughter go on down there, and so we can prevent that. It's things that we as people, that we can do, that we can help guide other people to do the right thing. And that's what it's all about, doing the right thing. Can't get mad with somebody because somebody's doing something wrong. Can't get mad because, you know, you leaving your door sitting wide open, it's not locked, and the burglar comes in, right? And now you're mad. Why? Because you left your door open and your door was unlocked and you were someplace else in your house. Nobody else is in there but you. That doesn't make sense. Keep your doors locked, okay? Now, I do want to read this to you, and then I want to make sure that I had this shirt on. God told me to put this shirt on tonight for purpose, okay? So I'm going to read this at the very end, but I do want to read this to you because it was pointed out, it was sent to me from one of my church members on election day, okay? And it's very disturbing, and it was to a set of people. So when I read it to you, it might be disturbing, but I saw this, it's going to say a county where this came from, and the sheriff's office had validated it. I actually did see it on the news on election night, and they had also gotten a bomb threat. But this came from one of my church members that was forwarded to everyone else. And this is how it reads. It's a forward now. Somebody sent it to me. Hey ladies, I just received this from a friend of a friend who works in, this is the county that was on the news, okay? It's spelled Gwinnett. they sent it to the county sheriff's office, and they actually showed the county sheriff's office on the news on election night. I don't know if it had anything to do with this or not, but I got this on election day. It says, be on alert. Last night, a deputy told a family that white supremacists and KKK members originating out of Lexington, North Carolina, are planning to attack from now until the inauguration. They are plotting against blacks, especially black women, because in their eyes, we are easy targets. Be vigilant. Try not to do anything alone, especially after dark. This is not a hoax or rumor. The deputy showed paperwork that the police department has, in their words, they are taking their country back, exclamation mark. It really is scary, and please take what I'm telling you seriously, exclamation mark. We have to continue to live, but just be careful and watch your surroundings. This is happening everywhere. Stay safe, spread the word, and pray. These are the times we're living in, but God, the word of God reassures us that we are to fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteousness and right hand, with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. It says, this should be concerning for black people all over the country. God blessings and protections, just sharing. And so I'm sharing this with you because I think that you need to actually be diligent and pay attention, because it says up to inauguration day. And it didn't say whether he won or lost, you know, he won or whether he lost the race. So that was sent out on election day. Then, like I said, then they had a bomb threat in a couple of places as well. But we have to have faith and trust in God, and that's why I think that the Lord told me to wear this shirt today. And this is what I want to kind of leave you with, okay? Hold on for 1 second. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And that is out of Jeremiah 29:11. And I believe that God is on his throne and he's going to protect us. So I'm not telling you this to be anxious, upset, but I am telling you to be careful, because that particular police station was on the news on election night, okay? If I had not seen that, I actually sent over to Channel 9 and asked them to verify as well. I don't know whether they did or not, but I'm just telling you just to be careful, because it's not just meant for black people, it's for everybody, okay? To be careful. So I'm just ready, because that was sent to, you know, it was directed to black people, and I guess it must be a lot of black people down in that particular county. I don't know anything about it, but I did want to share that with you, because I would feel awful if something happened and I had not shared it, okay? So with that, I want to say that I thank everybody that's worked in those polls, everybody that knocked on the door, made a phone call, took a friend to the polls, made sure that everybody got I want to say thank you and good night from Lady Nighthawk.